Let's go, people, let's go. It's Prognosis Negative time.
Hi, this is Eric, and welcome to this Prognosis Negative. I'm going to call this a Cinema Quickie because this is something I've never really done before. We did it once before, me and Kat. I can't remember if it was, well, it was probably for Sci-Fi Party Line. Many years ago, we did the Jake Gyllenhaal movie Life. We recorded our review and reaction in the parking lot of the theater where we saw the movie. And that is essentially what I'm doing today with this movie. I figured, I don't know, I've been into watching first time reactions and things on YouTube a lot lately. And I just saw this movie and I thought, I'd like to talk about it. And yeah, I like to do it with my friends, with the regular crew. But something like this and many other things I see at the movies, I feel like who knows when we'll ever get to them or if we even will, because it's so hard, getting things together. So why not try to capture some of my initial thoughts on this Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Normally I see pretty much every superhero movie, Marvel, DC, etc., day of release. I was actually a little bit tardy on this one. Life happens, I guess. But I finally got to see it. I had to see it now. I couldn't take it anymore. I've just gotten out, and that was something. I'm not going to bring up the witch who was sitting next to me, who was talking. Her entire family spoke conversationally throughout almost the entire movie. Not even going to bring that up. Not going to bring that up. I blocked it out. And there I was watching the movie. This is a hot take, but let's just say, witch aside, I was really distracted for about the first half of the movie. Something was really bothering me. The sound sounded a little bit weird. It sounded very front and center, even though I could hear a little stereo. And I was in a fairly premium auditorium as well, top sight and sound. And it just kind of sounded kind of weird. Audibly, it was like tunnel vision. Fast forward, I think this may have been intentional, because another thing that kind of threw me off, so the animation style, which was amazing in the original Spider-Verse movie, you can tell that things have even improved now with the sequel, but an effect that was extremely heavy was people and things and buildings in the background. Anything in the distance was heavily out of focus, or not almost. I mean, it was double focus. The movie had this effect of when you're watching a 3D movie with the polarized lenses and you take the glasses off and you just stare at the screen and things in the foreground are reasonably in focus, but everything else is like double vision. That's how this movie looked. And there was multiple times when I questioned, are they showing the 3D version, but none of us are wearing glasses? I actually thought that a few times. But spoiler, I think that and perhaps the sound were all by design by the makers of the movie. Because, and if you're listening to this, I'm sure this is a spoiler cast, so you've been warned. But once Miles gets the situation explained to him by Miguel, and he kind of understands, I guess, the big dilemma of the movie, there is a shift that happens. And all of a sudden, the animation gets really clear and proper, the way you would expect it to be. And then the visuals really start to shine from that point onward. And I'd have to go back and see it again to see if something similar happens with the sound design as well, as far as opening it up. Because then the movie really shines, and all those annoying things that were clawing at me for the first hour plus just all fell away, and I could just be into the movie finally. Wow, that is a daring decision on the part of the producers. And speaking of daring decisions, so the original movie, which I love, which I'm pretty sure everyone loved, it has a very mass appeal, general audiences, all ages. You don't need to really know anything about Spider-Man proper, and just like an all-around enjoyable movie. This entry of this apparent trilogy is really a lot heavier and a lot darker. Not in terms of like gore or violence per se, but in themes and like emotional weight. It does not feel like a kid movie at all, because that kind of stuff will just, there's actually a lot of talking, again, especially in the first half, that I can imagine a very young kid with a short attention span could kind of just be like, what is going on? Like, just give me more action. But it's heavy, and it gets dark, and not everyone is a white hat, black hat. You know, there's a lot of shades of gray of characters going on. And I had vaguely heard, you know, going into this, that it was part of a trilogy, but I didn't really fully feel or realize what that meant until we were getting about, I could feel that we were approximately 15 minutes from the end to the end. And I could tell, oh man, this is going to be like when I saw The Fellowship of the Ring for the first time at the theater. And when that movie ended, you could just tell how many people weren't expecting it to just kind of end on a cliffhanger like that. Well, yeah, 15 minutes prior to the end of this movie, I had that feeling like, holy smokes, this is wild. It's surprising how little resolution there is. I get it, it's the middle chapter of a trilogy, but even with something like Empire Strikes Back, I mean, the way that ends is like a loose cliffhanger itself, but there is a lot of resolution for most of what happens in that particular movie. And there's a little bit, I suppose, self-contained in this one, but not much. And the Gen Zer who was sitting next to me on the other side, not the witch side, but the other side, she just about flipped when roll credits came on, and the way it just kind of leaves you hanging there, no pun intended, and she was about to lose it. And I just thought, man, this is bold. This is bold. You know, the thing about this movie, I know it's not part of the MCU Disney canon, but it is certainly Spider-Man canon, especially because it is a multiverse type thing. And if you've seen it, you know, there's threads, even more threads now, to the Sony Spider-Man universe, even the MCU Disney universe. There's connections to everything Spider-Man in this particular movie. And I'm here for it. But that being said, it is crazy, the writing, just on its face, just in terms of writing, how much more care and thought it seems went into this movie than goes into your typical MCU movie. I'm not even going to bring up DC when it comes to that writing. It's just crazy. The themes are so elevated. The stakes are so elevated in a unique way, in a personal way to the character and multiple characters, that the writing just seems to be on another level compared to MCU. And love it or hate it, this movie, there's something about that, just to even take the chance, because you really are taking a chance, because you're gonna like turn off a lot of people who just came to have a good time and think they were gonna have the same experience they had with the first movie, and just be gobsmacked, like, oh my gosh, what is this? What's going on? You know, I just want to have a good time. And MCU movies, by and large, never take those kinds of chances, ever. And it's so wild that this animated movie, like, really goes for it. Like, it would be glorious to see this movie or this trilogy done entirely in live action. It would be so crazy. And it really shows, like even if this had been in comic book form, this would have been an epic story thus far. I don't know how it's all going to end, but it just feels humongous. And I don't mean in the scope, but in the scope of like the characters and the extended cast, but just like scope of like emotion and meaningfulness and depth. It's really wild. I'm really looking forward to seeing it again at home or whatever, where I can really break it down, or probably watch more videos on YouTube. But just kudos. This is most of what I wanted to say. I mean, if you've seen it, tell me if you agree or disagree. Hit me up or hit up the podcast on Twitter. Yeah, it's just wild. And as far as rating for now, how many Bollywebs am I going to give this movie out of 5? At least for now. This could certainly change in the future. I have to give it a solid 4.5 Bollywebs out of 5. But I really do have to think about it more. This is a first thought reaction. But there you have it. Stay tuned for our regular content on the podcast. Let me know if you like this short format, short take. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you hate it. Let me know if I should do more. I kind of do want to do more. I'll at least do a few more. I'll be seeing Transformers in a couple days. I'll try to record one of those in the parking lot for that movie. So there you have it. I'm closing out the show today. This is Eric. And until next time, the balcony is yours.
Prognosis negative.